You're watching Beyond Regulation, a programme from the ICA and ITN Productions. For more on the shift in attitudes and practice, I'm pleased to say we've been joined by Bill Howarth, who's President of the ICA. Good to see you, Bill. Now, the ICA represents compliance professionals around the world. Just tell us what your members do to add value to business.
Over the last few years, compliance officers have really evolved into a profession. And what that means, in the same way as doctors and lawyers and accountants, they have a very important role within business in terms of they are protectors of the organisation. They are identifiers of risk. They have to manage, monitor and manage that risk. In addition to that, they're also business enablers. And what that means is that if you have a good compliance system within an organisation, that can generate top-line income. It can reduce cost, and it's a real asset to the business. Now, the type of work that the compliance officer does is to, for example, identify suspicious transactions, look at and try and detect anti-money laundering, terrorist financing, cybercrime, and a whole range of criminal issues. So in reality, they are a real asset to the business.
The perception of compliance has changed a lot since 2008, but Bill, do you think more still needs to be done?
I think inevitably there has to be. You'll have seen recently in relation to the Paradise Papers a lot of the issues, which in fact, many of which are compliance issues. What we're finding is that around the world, the pace of compliance is different in different places. It ranges from different sectors to industries. What we find also is that in certain firms, compliance is siloed and is not part of the business, whereas in good compliance firms, compliance is integrated into the businesses themselves, and that's the way that we should be developing it.
You talk about updating their tools, and there's been a lot of change in terms of technology. So what impact do you think things like RegTech and AI will have on the financial sector?
I think it'll take out a lot of the menial tasks that are done by compliance people in particular. But what it will enable is that the compliance officers can really focus on analytical and problem-solving issues around that. So very much in favour. There's going to be a lot of changes, but I think also a lot of new jobs are going to be created as a consequence of that.
Talking of new jobs then, how can the industry convince graduates and others to seek careers in compliance?
Well, it's already happening to a degree that universities and colleges are already incorporating compliance issues and topics into their curriculum, both at undergraduate and at postgraduate level. We're seeing a lot of lawyers and accountants coming into the compliance industry. But what we've got to do better is to communicate to young people what actually is involved in that compliance role. And the thing about that is it's part technology, it's part psychology, it's part innovation and management. So there's a whole series, and it's a really interesting and innovative career. It's well paid, and there are a lot of job opportunities in that sector at the moment. But what we have to do, I say, is really be more dynamic in our approach to try and persuade the younger people to embrace it.
Bill, many thanks.